So I don't think a lot of people know this, but about a year ago, I applied for a job to be a full-time lecturer at a university, I guess you would call it, that has an esports program. Now, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this, and I don't want to blast them too hard because I don't think they're bad people. I just think they're a little underdeveloped in the scope of what they're really trying to deliver on. Maybe a bit ambitious is a fair way to categorize it. So obviously COVID was a big part of the decision making of not taking this position. It would have required relocation. The timing was not good in that regard. But a big reason why I didn't dive in is because this was a full esports program, right? This wasn't one of these universities that had a business program and then said, hey, we want to put in a minor or a concentration or a specialization for esports on top of this, i.e., you get a business management degree and then you tack on a bunch of esports specific courses, so you graduate with a little byline on your diploma that says esports next to it. That, I think, is the model for a lot of the things higher education related for esports. I think that is right now the best way to do it because it gives you a backup plan, right? It gives you that stable, regular degree. You're still a business management graduate. You have all that core stuff. Esports companies basically just want to hire people that are best in class for whatever it is that they do. So if you do marketing, just get the marketing degree and then specialize in esports in your spare time and spend all your effort or internships trying to work in the gaming space. That's going to get you further than some of these programs that are a little bit harder to quantify or qualify, really, for that matter, because they're just in the esports bubble. And if you think about like a traditional 4-year degree, it's really hard to make a timeless program. But by the time you enter and then 4 years later when you graduate, you've actually got something that's worthwhile and will stand the test of time moving forward after that, because shit changes super quickly. Like at the time that I was applying for this job, they were still super jacked up on Fortnite. It's like, this is the future of esports. It's like, all right, I know this isn't true. I'm just going to let this play out. Here we are like a year later. We're not really talking about Fortnite anymore, right? So I think that's an example of like an esports fad more so than it is like an esport the way we categorize League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Dota, these kind of legacy, like veterans, super old games, very old communities, and a huge ecosystem supporting the game so that, regardless of the developer making some mistakes or missteps in any particular direction, there's a lot of infrastructure just supporting the giant ship, right? A lot of money and a lot of salaries and just a lot of third-party business that goes on around it. So anyway, all this is kind of a precursor and something to lay the groundwork to talk to someone who's a student at the program that I had applied for and didn't take the position. So I'm excited to hear more about her situation. Apparently, it's not a good one. I think she's had a pretty negative experience. I don't know if it's COVID related or what, but excited to hear about that and then maybe share a little bit more about my experience there and why I didn't make it happen. So let's go ahead and give her a ring and see what's going on. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's nice to meet you. So what do I call you? How do you say your handle here? Soodle?
It's Soodlenooop, but you can call me Soodle.
Soodle. Okay, great. Fantastic. So yeah, what's going on? I basically, backstory, I saw you on Twitter and said, wow, small world. That's the place that I had a little bit of experience with. So that was basically it. We had a couple DMs and I'm kind of excited to hear what's going on, what the deal is, I guess, with I haven't named them yet specifically, so I guess I'll leave that to you, though you named them in your tweet, so it's not exactly a secret.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, before I start anything, I just need to quickly say what I DM'd you about, and that this is like completely my opinions, and I'm not allowed to name anyone specifically because of privacy purposes. And yeah, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah, that's cool. I think most of the people I talk, at least one of the key people has moved on and doesn't work there anymore anyway. So I might be even slightly outdated at this point. I guess stuff moves quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess let's go ahead and say it. It's the Staffordshire Esports program. Were you looking, or are you at the London campus? Because they have two, right? It's the Stoke-on-Trent and London.
Yeah, I'm at the Stoke-on-Trent one, but I'm transferring to the London one this year.
Oh, okay. And what it's a 3-year program, right? Their esports management program.
Yeah, and it's optional to do foundation with it, so there's that too.
So how does the foundation work? Because y'all in the UK have a slightly different system than what I'm like. You guys call college. I don't. Do you guys have college? Is that a thing? Because we use college and university interchangeably. It just means after high school, when you're 18, you finish that, and then you can pay to go to college or university, and they're basically the same thing. It generally means like a 4-year bachelor's degree if you just say it in passing.
Yeah, no, our college is like where we do our A levels. So as soon as you're done with, I'd say like high school or whatever, we call it secondary school. You go into college or A levels within the school that you were just at, and you complete that sort of higher level degree. And then you go from there to university. And college
Okay.
is like either you do A levels or you do like a course on something else, like a B Tech or whatever.
So if you're in university, you 100% had to do college as a prerequisite, or
Yeah.
no? Yes. Okay. So
Well,
it's
college or A levels, yeah.
I see one or the other. Right. So what is foundation then within that system?
So if you don't have enough credit or if you don't have enough what we call UCAS points or something, or you don't have a certain level in like maths and English or something, then you can do a foundation which covers that. So you will cover the whole maths and English foundation. So you can then advance on to first year. So a lot of people don't get the grades they want, but they have the option of doing foundation. And when they
Mm.
do foundation, they can then advance to go to level one.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I think a lot of information to digest, but I think I got it for the most part. So this program is a bachelor's program, then this
Yeah.
esports one. So it's a full time. I see. Yeah, it's a bachelor's with honors, but it's only 3 years instead of 4.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess that's because you put time into college beforehand. So what year are you?
I'm in my second year,
So you'll be going into your 3rd year starting this fall.
September.
Oh, okay,
hmm
wow. All right, so how is it? What's been going on?
Yeah, I mean, I came into this course with a lot of high hopes and it just wasn't met. There was a lot of more issues than I thought I was going to deal with. And, I really cared about the course and I still do. And I kind of just went into it thinking, yeah, esports, not really understanding things a bit further, I guess. And then getting into it, my first year was pretty good, pretty good. Some problems here and there. I stressed myself out in first year because the year above us, which was the first year who started the esports course, they were talking about how there were issues. And I was like, oh, well, that's fine. They can get fixed, no problem. And then I just kind of like went more into it. And all of a sudden, I found myself stressing out over the smallest things on the course and thinking, nope, this is basic. Why don't we have it? Um, but over when I compare it to this year, definitely last year was so much better.
Hmm.
And after first year, we moved to a different school. We lost lecturers, things like that. And now we are just in a complete crap show, basically, of events where people are so frustrated that we're not getting our basic education, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
mean, one of the things that stood out to me when I dove into the curriculum, like at first I kind of just browsed it and went, this sort of looks okay. But my issue is that it is completely all over the place. Like if you look at the different modules, it's sort of a specialist in nothing, but touches on a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it's important to be well rounded, but at the same time, like having a casting and hosting, like have you done the casting and hosting part of the
Yep.
year 2 module? What was that like?
Um, I mean, it was okay, but I guess maybe I wanted a bit more of a challenge when it came to that because a lot of it was we knew exactly what to do for it and we knew certain things. I mean, it was delivered appropriately and that's fine. That was actually from our course leader who left and he has
Uh,
experience in that casting hosting sort of thing. but towards the end it was a bit rough. But I mean, I did well on it, so I think it was pretty good.
I see. So, I mean, what is your ideal job when you graduate? When you think about like your career in esports, and I'm very curious because I think I said this in my little preamble before we hopped on the call, but I think it's important to specialize in whatever key area it is. If it's video production or on camera work or script writing or audio work or video editing or even programming or all these different technical things that you could do. There's a really
Yeah.
wide spectrum of jobs within esports, but I don't know very many people that do all of them. It's usually just a crew of people that are all very good at this one thing that they super hyper specialize in. So,
Yeah. A lot of students have that. The issue with me is that I came into the course not knowing what I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to do something in esports. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity to find out what I want to specialize in. And by year 2, I'm sure I'll know what I want to do because I would have had a taster, I would have learned little bits and pieces and gone, "Hey, I really want to do this." The problem is because of the way things have gone, I still have no idea what I want to do because I have such a broad spectrum of what I like doing, but I wanted to specialize in one. And that's why after being, having given the content for second year, I've kind of just strayed off and done my own thing, which is why I started streaming and stuff because I thought, well,
mhm.
now I have the time to do it. Might as well try before I get, no time to do anything in the real world. If I have to get a job that's like a 9 to 5 or whatever,
Well, and
then
it's hands-on, right? You're at least
yeah,
interacting with real community members. You're using real production software. I mean, I don't know what
exactly.
the Stoke-on-Trent facility looks like, but I know the London facility is supposed to be pretty tech trendy, or at least that's what they advertise.
Yeah. They advertise that. However, I'm pretty sure they have the same specs as our esports hub on the Stoke-on-Trent campus, which was really confusing to hear because they have some things that are a little better in their production suite, but it's majority the same thing, but just bigger space. And the way it's laid out is better for our events when we're trying to record them and things like that. So they definitely have it better and they definitely invested money into this huge thing that should have been first invested onto the Stoke-on-Trent campus beforehand.
So
It shouldn't have just been thrown.
do they run like mock events? And I'm looking at their gear list, and it's actually fairly impressive.
Mhm.
Do they run like is it like esports tournaments through the collegiate programs, and then you guys do the production and stuff like that, or
We kind of host our own thing, and we go through one of our societies and run events as well. And we just kind of use the hub and everything. Actually, the picture of the hub um, is not as what's it called? It shows it quite big, but it's not actually that big. It's actually very annoying to record in. But I mean, it's pretty cool when you first go in and you see it. It's great, but yeah, it can become an issue, and everyone has to keep using the same place. We don't have anywhere else to really do it where we have the same connection, production kit, everything. So yeah,
Well, it's full meta, you see. They're showing you what the real esports experience is like because for some reason, it is often like that in real life where you go, wow, this is the production space. Okay, well, let's see how much crap we can cram in here with as many people as possible and see if we can make it work. So,
yeah,
they're weirdly enough, they're perhaps making it rather authentic. But
yeah.
um, from what you described though, like so you're doing this bachelor's program. It's a pretty well-rounded program, let's say, right? It lets you touch on a lot of different things. Would the
Mhm.
idea be then afterwards you specialize further and do like a bachelor's in whatever it is that you dive into, or just kind of once you're done with this, dive into it on your own and then try to pursue the career from there?
Oh, the latter. The latter
Okay,
for
I
sure.
see.
Yeah, it's not everyone who has something that they want in mind, they've already started working towards it, getting opportunities for it. So it's not like, oh yeah, you can now specialize in this. It's
Mm.
not that at all.
I see. So here's one of the things that really fundamentally turned me off. There's two of them, and the second one we'll get into in a minute. But if you even still on their website, maybe you can shed some light on this. But I'm looking at these modules, and you can click on most of them for a slightly expanded. I mean, it's still pretty general. Like, yeah, we're gonna talk about like what is multiplayer events. Every event is multiplayer. What's a single player event? You know, that's so. I could be nitpicky about a lot of this, but the third year modules don't appear to be written. There's nothing under community management or driving digital traffic and social media, whatever that is, or esports analytics. And then there's apparently what is the Esports Expo? Do you guys have info on that? I'm curious.
Honestly, it was not planned from the very start what the expo was, and then in second year when we asked about it, they said they were going to make this huge sort of expo where we had like a bunch of single player, multiplayer games and stuff. And that we would all go to it and make it a huge thing, invite people from the industry, etc. Obviously, that didn't happen. I mean, me and some other reps, we went on a whole tour trying to find a place, and we really, really did try to find somewhere we could do the expo. So that's supposed to be
every year? Like once a year you guys host this expo? Okay. I mean, I've been to, like I went to something similar to that at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And it was put together mostly by their esports club, and it was like a student-run thing. And I don't know if it was a yearly event or just a one-off, but they had like a couple of vendor booths, and there were people there from Nintendo, and like the CEO of Evil Geniuses spoke and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that is a cool idea, and I think it can work, but they didn't. I mean, you guys were just on your own out there trying to source venues. They didn't like give you the groundwork. I mean, when I went to Vancouver, it was on campus. Like the basic stuff was provided by when I say student run, I mean they had a venue. No,
they took our lecturers took a few of us to find something and stuff, but it was never really pursued. The problem is, okay, so if I explain this, so like single player, we got taught that single player is kind of like a what's it called?
Playing Grand Theft Auto.
Well, no, not necessarily. It's more like a sort of speed run or something, and it's sort of like one person playing and trying to beat some sort of score as such, and then that's what we would classify as a single player, and then a multiplayer would involve like two or more players, you know, or teams and whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then like single player, we could include Smash in it because it is one person, as long as it's one person playing. But yeah, so it's not like it can't be a team thing. And then multiplayer is like whatever, you know, it goes beyond. And we even got told like a merch drop, like a merch reveal is a multiplayer. And we were very confused. But apparently it's supposed to be like we're supposed to host a tournament.
Wait, what do you mean a merch drop is multi? I don't understand what that sentence means.
Yeah, no, I don't get it either. But what they're saying essentially is that you can do a merch drop, so we can design our own brand and whatever and get sponsors and stuff. But then we have to do some sort of tournament, a multiplayer tournament that accompanies it. And then we have to, you know, produce that. But it's supposed to be a merch drop. So
why does it
really confusing?
Why does it have to be a merch drop though? Where does that come into play?
Oh, it doesn't have to be a merch drop, but compared to the other suggestions of what to do for multiplayer, it was the one that everyone was like, yes, that's the one that makes the most sense, you know?
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I understand what as you explain it, this delineation between single player events and multiplayer events, and I guess they're building it like there's less tech, less moving parts, and it's just easier to execute single player events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess I'm thinking like I started in StarCraft 2 single player game, and managing even just an open tournament of single players is much easier than managing team game stuff. So yeah, okay, there's I get it now that I said it out loud. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but is the year 3 stuff carved out? Like, is the website just like not updated? But it really put me off, this idea that they told me, well, we have X amount of year 1 students. So when you would start, we would have Y amount of year 2 students. Right now, the program is so new, we don't have any year 3 students. It's like, okay, but every student that you have is committed to the 3-year program. Yes. Okay. What are we teaching them in year 3? Great question. And to me, I don't see this year 3 module as like it should elevate over time. Like when I did my bachelor's in entrepreneurship, when I was a senior in my 4th year, 50% of my course load was master's level courses. So they were substantially harder. And it's like every year you're taking elevated, deeper, more difficult content so that it's not there's growth there, right? You're using the foundation that you learn in the early years to dive into really cool, heavy stuff in the final years that's like super useful and super technical and way more specialized. Is driving digital traffic and social media and esports analytics and community management. I mean, no offense to community managers out there, but you look at the web of like game dev or esports orgs or teams or events or anything, like community management is it's sort of a side piece. I mean, that's like a great year 1 elective or something,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like that. And maybe I don't want to say step too far here. Maybe if I had taken the position, I could have had an impact and we could have made year 3 something interesting. But at the same time, that would be my first teaching job. I don't fucking know that well. Why is it on me, man? You guys you sold it to people. You should have it carved out at least somewhat. I don't know, tactfully. I feel like having just the full curriculum when you're asking people to put up cash is a pretty fair ask. So
Yeah. No. You can't see me right now, but when you were saying all of that, I was like shaking my hands and going, yes, that's literally it. So first of all, the whole foundation and progressing to things that are more challenging and getting harder and basing your learning on that, like sort of like a graph and it's going up, in terms of levels and stuff. And that's how it was supposed to be, but that's not what they delivered. That's why we are very upset, because second year felt even worse than first year. Well, not worse, but it felt like we were going a level beneath that, which is not where you want to be going in terms of education. And on top of that, I don't know what's going on with the website. I genuinely don't. I haven't actually seen it in quite a while. And the fact that they have that up and they haven't said much is kind of concerning. But they didn't even know what they were doing until quite recently. They didn't tell us what the expo was until the beginning of second year, when we started going to classes. And even then it was just like, oh, we're basically doing the same thing as the level below us are doing. We are just planning as if we're going to do an expo, and then we'll probably do it the semester after, but we have to plan it and give all of this stuff, all the papers and information details, event management plan. And that, the management plan, is then foreseen. And now this semester, we're doing more paperwork rather than actually pursuing what we were supposed to be doing. Because the way they communicated what we were supposed to be doing is ridiculous. Like last semester, they said, okay, so next semester, we're going to choose a few pitches that do really well, and you're all going to accompany that event and produce it with your groups that we've chosen. And we're not doing that. We are literally doing a repeat of what we did last semester, but instead we get a week to produce our event, to reflect on. A week to produce an event. And on top of that, in terms of you, and if you took that job, I'm telling you now, you wouldn't have been able to do what you wanted to, because we had a committed lecturer who had experience, who became a course leader, wanted to change things. And he left because all those things he wanted to change, he was told he couldn't. So
I see. Okay. Well, that is good to know. That makes me feel a lot better. I mean, if there wasn't international relocation to consider, I probably would have YOLO'd it a bit more, so to speak. But having to relocate to the UK with Brexit, with COVID, was like, yeah, all of this. I mean, and it's not like the pay was some fantastic. I mean, it was lower than I asked for, and like on that, oh man, I can. All right, This isn't a lot of money to live in London, guys. And they said that. They're like, this isn't a lot of money to live in London. You sure you don't want to go to Stoke? I'm like, yes, I'm pretty sure I don't want to go live in Stoke. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way they have it listed here with like, all these careers, like I couldn't help but feel like this is disingenuous marketing because
Oh yeah.
they don't say it outright, but all they say is there are a variety of career opportunities in the esports industry, and they're planting the seed that like you'll have the esports degree, so look at all these potential jobs you could have access to. But the reality is, with an esports only degree, you're basically qualified for like 2 or 3 of these jobs they have listed here.
Yep. Pretty
So
much.
it's not really a good representation of what the offering is. It's a bit of a bait and switch. Like being a shoutcaster or a host. If you want to do that, I don't recommend reading textbooks. I mean, there's a couple books maybe, but that's like a very it's a do thing. It's hours on the mic. You have to have a certain passion for it. It's a charisma thing.
Yeah, practical.
You should go get a broadcasting degree if you really want to get a bachelor's and you're set on being a shoutcaster or a host, right? If you want to be a coach or an analyst, you better play the fucking game that you want to be a coach or an analyst for. It has nothing to do with degrees or your ability to. It's all about your specialization and being at a pro level in a specific game. That's not something you can teach somebody to be able to do. That's something you either have or you don't, and it's anyway. I think you get the point. I'm preaching to the choir, but I wholeheartedly agree with you because this is not a fair way to like. I mean, even just throwing in other roles like statistician, lawyer, finance, support, etc. Other gaming careers like a developer, a publisher, a distributor. I don't know. You want a game? We're giving games away. I mean, what the fuck is that? Other gaming careers as a developer, publisher, or distributor. If you want to do that, you should go get a degree in game design. Like that. There is a career path there, but this isn't it. So why are we crossing streams?
No, I completely agree. And the thing is, I feel bad because I was one of those people who looked at it thinking, yes, this is promising. And I wanted to get into kind of that PR segment of things beforehand because I was studying PR for like 2 years. And then I got into this thinking, yeah, I can get into PR esports and stuff like that. And then I was just like proved wrong. Like, no, this is not going to help you get into what you want to. And you should have stuck to your other degree. But no, I was like, I just couldn't deal with my other one. And I just wanted to do something that I felt passionate about. And everyone, when you're not really taught about what it like accreditation, how do you say that word?
Accredited or
accredited, an accredited degree. An accredited degree. If you don't look at the specifics, if you're one of those people who look online and you see things and you think, hey, this makes sense, this is pretty promising, but you don't look at the specifics behind the scene, then you are getting screwed over. And unfortunately, I was one of those people because I don't know that much about universities, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I just thought, yes, esports, I'm interested in this, I want to do it. And yes, they definitely labeled it wrong. And everyone said this. It shouldn't be called an esports degree. It should be called an esports management degree because that's essentially the most of the things we're hitting. But it's not there, really. It's not there. And people who have studied on the course for now 3 years as well, they can also attest to this. They don't want that whole esports thing on their resume because it does not show, not everyone, I'm not talking for everyone, I'm just talking on the few people I've talked to, that they don't know, like they don't want those people, their employers, to see that on their CV. They don't want to see that they have an esports degree but maybe an esports management degree because they have more to talk about that. So that's what I mean. It's kind of misrepresented, and we at the moment are just in a lot of crap because we have new lecturers who at least like 1 or 2 of them, who should not be on this degree teaching at all. They're not the right person. I genuinely feel like I can't approach one of them personally, and a lot of people feel like that because we are being stomped down on every time we try to say something.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's oppression, bro. That's oppression. So that's why there's the whole public speaking thing, and now that's an issue because we want to say something, but also the whole, you're making it look bad for other people. And we're like, but we want to say something about it and we're not being listened to. And we don't want you to look bad. I just want to be honest about how I feel about the course.
Right. Well, so that's one of the fundamental issues with anything related to higher education and esports is the industry is so young. How do you have a large pool of people that are qualified to teach these courses? Newsflash, you don't, because most of the people
Hmm.
qualified to do it are still working in the industry, innovating stuff and making things and producing events. They don't want to, sit around and teach people stuff because they're still living the dream, making esports a thing. We're still in the infancy. It's very much like what we see in I mean, Dota is my game, but in a lot of these games where there's probably going to be a great generation of coaches some point like 10 years in the future. But right now, we still have players that are kind of old, pushing the envelope of how well they can perform into their 30s now that they're aging a little bit. We just don't have the players that have retired enough yet to have enough coaches. So it's a
Hmm.
reasonable problem. But I think they also hide under the, well, we're an early mover. It's really hard. So we're making the best out of it. And it's like there's truth
Yeah,
to that, but I think it's also a cop out to sell
it
something
is.
that's not ready to be sold, right?
It is. And the other thing that I want to add to that is that we had a lecturer who didn't know anything about esports, but he went out of his way. He had a huge background on events management. That was great. And
Mm,
because he didn't know anything about esports, he went out of his way to educate himself about it. He
mm,
got engaged. You could have a full on conversation with him about esports. And he did that because obviously he wanted to teach us the content. He wanted to teach us what was relevant and how to apply it to our degree.
mhm.
It is not hard to do that. Okay, anyone coming in to teach us and they don't feel like they know anything about esports, it's not hard to get into the scene and teach yourself and apply that in our lessons. That is what I'm saying. And the fact that they haven't done that, really, it triggers the hell out of us. I once had like a substitute lecturer because one of our lecturers last year sort of left the course halfway, and we had the substitute lecturer, and who they brought in, I'll kid you not, quote for quote, she asked us um, what a console is.
What do you mean what a console is?
Like a console, like a PS4,
Like she didn't know
PS5,
what an
sort of like that.
Xbox
She
is?
did not know what it
What,
was.
what is that?
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that kind of thing. I just it baffled me. It made me think, who are you bringing in to teach us, please? And now we have no disrespect to the master students, but we have a few master students now teaching us as well as lecturers and being trained mid year,
Mhm.
and they're reading off PowerPoints, and it's just not beneficial to us because they
Yeah.
are not being trained properly.
Yeah.
So you get my
It's
point. You get where I'm going.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it hits close to home because if it makes you feel any better, okay, I'll share a little anecdote with you. Like 3 or 4 years ago, my Dota 2 casting career was slowing down. I was very cynical about my position in esports and jaded, and I was convinced I got to pivot. I got to do something else. And I thought maybe I'll do some computer science. Maybe I'll do this. I thought I want to become a UX designer. I want to learn user experience, and that was like my thing. And I thought about it for a whole year. I bought a book, read the book, got all excited, and I found a local boot camp in Boulder, Colorado, that it was $10,000 for I think it was 3 and maybe it was 4 months long. It's basically like a semester of full time. You go like 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's like a full time thing for 4 months. And over the course of that, you learn all the principles, and then you do all of these projects, and then you do one final big piece. And the whole idea is at the end of it, you have this portfolio, and they have connections to jobs in the area, and there's a big demand for UX people. So you do this, bada boom, bada bing, 10 grand's nothing compared to the 80 grand you're going to be making a year as a junior user experience designer. All right, that sales pitch worked on me like a total dummy. I got a loan from my dad. I was all excited. And by like week 3, week 4, I started realizing like, man, this is like, they're just reading the book that I read already to me. This is really slow and just like not stimulating at all. I don't think this is worth $10,000. I could just do all this by myself. What am I paying for right now? I already read
Yep.
the book. I'm ahead of the curve. And a weird set of circumstances happened that and one of the fellow talent in Dota ended up getting diagnosed with cancer, and there was a big gig going on, so she left suddenly, and they contacted me to replace her on short notice, like, hey, can you get to Sweden in 48 hours? We'll pay you double, was kind of like the offer. So I said, yeah, sure. And I went to the boot camp and said, hey, guys, I got this crazy contract. One of my colleagues got sick. Really insane set of circumstances. Can I like roll this over to the next one? You know, because they do them twice a year. Like, I'll drop out now. You already have my money. I'll do the second one. They said, okay, sure. That's totally fair. Good luck to you. Go make some money. We'll see you soon. So I come back and they end up postponing the next one because there's not enough students. Then they postpone the third one because there's not enough students. So then they give me a partial refund. They start up another one that has like one professor that doesn't have any credentials. And I called and complained and filed a report, and they gave me like 75% of the money back. But at the end of it, I had this whole big headache, this big wasted time. And I was still out like, you know, $3,000 or something, $2,500, something like that. And I felt like a complete sucker. I got completely sold on somebody teaching me something that I sort of could have taught myself. And I'm not saying that that's like one-to-one here or anything like that. That was just a 4-month little boot camp, not even accredited, just little certificate thing. This is an accredited program, which really means this should have higher standards. But my point is there's a lot of this kind of education. I don't want to call it a scam, but it's like it's in that spectrum, you know, like it's not quite. They sort of pretend they're a university, and it ain't. I have a bachelor's. That was not like university, you know. You know.
Yeah.
So if it makes you feel any better, it's easy to get got. I've been there, and I have also, you know, paid for education that I was not satisfied with. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
I mean, yeah, it's just actually I want your opinion on something if possible. Because a lot of people, like I said before, are saying that this negative attraction that is happening towards our course and opinions being said by students is ruining the futures of other students on the course because we are destroying the reputation of the course. And therefore making them look bad, and it'll be harder to get jobs because they'll see their degree and not sort of, you know, think to hire them because of that. And I just wonder, what is your opinion on that?
That sounds like some really old school, like old boys club style of doing business. That sounds like, I feel like there's a world where you could apply some of that logic if it were like a little blemish. Like, let's say you guys did the first expo, this Esports Expo, and for whatever reason, it's a disaster. Something goes wrong, or you lose power to the venue. It's a total disaster. And the people at the university are like, hey guys, listen, we know that was a disaster. We're owning it. Please don't like make a big deal about it because it's just going to make it harder for us to fix this stuff. We're really new. We know we fucked it up. We're going to fix it. We promise. And then they do fix it, you know, or they take meaningful steps to start fixing it. There's a world where I can understand that perspective, right? Where I do genuinely think that if it's more of an isolated incident, then maybe it is not worth it for you guys to trash them because, yeah, sure, so shit happens, right? Mistakes happen. As you work in the live event space, you'll definitely see that nothing ever works according to plan, so you got to make the best of shitty situations, and you got to get used to that. However, if it's not isolated and it's systemic, if it feels like the whole thing, that the castle is more of a house of cards, I don't know. I think it's like an ethical question, right? You kind of want to ask yourself if you were. To me, this is like maybe a weird analogy, but it's sort of like if you know that your best friend's significant other is cheating on them. Do you tell your best friend, and maybe you're friends with the person that they're dating, right? It's like you have this conflict of interest. Like, do you betray your friend to tell your other friend? I think so. You know, like I would, if you were the friend, you would want to know, right? And it's shitty to have to tell them, but roles reversed, what would you want? So same deal. If you're a first-year student, roles reversed, what would you want? Would you want one of the seniors to be like, yo, dog, save your money. That 20 grand you were going to put towards year 2 and year 3, invest it in an esports project, invest it in yourself, or don't go into debt and do something hands-on instead. I mean, depending on your answer to the question, I think that, kind of follow your heart there.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I always make the point that would you rather us be silent and nothing changes than actually say something and have it sort of like raised? Because I know for sure it has been raised that our publicity that we've done has actually, acquired now a meeting and things like that. So who knows how that's going to
Yeah.
go, but we have definitely made it public, and I'm just hoping there's no breaches.
It's like it's kind of like the government asking protesters not to protest because it's going to make the government look bad. Like, yeah, no fucking shit. That's why we're protesting, man. Like, there's a clear clear conflict of interest from the other perspective telling you to keep your trap shut. But also keep in mind, y'all aren't the only ones making them look bad. So if you remember earlier in this conversation, I said there was a second big reason why I didn't take the job offer. And I was trying to find it, and I think the tweets might be deleted. But I don't know if you're familiar with Red Eye or good old Paul. But before the great canceling, he had marked one of the tweets from the staff's esports Twitter account that was basically making the claim, very soon, you're gonna need a degree to get a job in esports. I think that was the gist of the marketing lingo. And he retweeted it and did his classic Paul thing of like, this is a blatant lie. This is bullshit. Staffs, just don't do that. Daddy disappointed. And then, of course, a bunch of other esports people picked up on it, and it was like a little mini esports viral Twitter thing for a day or two.
That
I
was definitely in that.
Yeah. So but that when that tweet dropped, that was when they had made me an offer, but I had not accepted yet. So I was like 24 hours away from saying, fucking yeah, sign me up. Let's go. Let's do. You know what? YOLO. You miss all the shots you don't take. I'm going to London, baby. Let's do. I was ready for an adventure. I was excited to do something different. And it's like, if I asked myself, if my goal is to try to get into higher education, the biggest barrier is having no experience. So being able to say I've got a full-time lecturer job on the resume, and then I wanted to do this, get some experience, learn how to teach at a higher level, and then try to get a job back in the States where I could build a program with a university that was a business degree first with a little esports concentration or latch on or whatever you want to call it, an esports minor, let's say.
Yeah.
So that was my master plan in my head, and then that stuff with Paul dropped, and I was like, oh God. And my contract says that I have to help them recruit and I have to help them market. And this is the kind of marketing they want to do? My colleagues are going to blast me to hell. Oh no, this isn't worth 40 grand a year. So that was like the final straw that pushed me from wherever I was positive to that, all right, this isn't worth it. All the factors now with COVID and everything else, I'm fucking out. Sorry, guys. But yeah, it's not just you. So that's another factor, right? If you're breaking the story, if they have a pristine record and you're the first tarnish, okay, you might want to think twice about the power you're wielding. You ain't the first tarnish. So I think at this point, just being honest is a good way to go. And in the words of James Too Good Harding, do the honorable thing. That is what he told me in my big moment of crisis so many years ago.
Hell yeah, dude. I preach that.
Yeah, that's good advice. So, but you're in it to win it, huh? You're committed for year 3. You're going to finish this thing out and go for the paper?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to finish it for sure. I can't give up on this. I've already given up on the last one, so I'm not giving up on this one. And I do care. So many times I said, okay, I don't care about this course anymore. I'm just going to get my degree and leave. I do care though, because I care about the education I get. We are at an age where we are privileged to get education. And when you do get the education you have to make that education worth your while. And you shouldn't be settling for any less when there are the resources, the amenities available. It should be used. It should be fully used, and you shouldn't accept anything less, in my opinion. And I stand by that. So that's why I have definitely put up a stand for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this program ain't cheap. So that definitely, you got to, well, I say that because you have to calibrate your expectations for what you're getting into, right? In my example of the boot camp, a little 4-month thing, I probably should have calibrated my expectations. There's no way that was going to be like university. It's not designed to be like university. It's designed to be a crash course for somebody that has zero experience and user experience and wants to get into it. And I was already a level beyond that. What you're talking about here is a 3 to 4 year, depending on your foundation or placement, premium cost institution. I mean, this is accredited shit. So that elevates the standards, right? I think that elevates what you should hold them accountable to. And, where's that money going? A good portion of it should be going back into the quality of the program here, the life of the students. That's not the bureaucracy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the first thing that I want to happen for the course is that I really hope that they they need to overlook their material. They so do. They need to look at their lectures, they need to look at their slides, the content they provide, and they need to really look at that and even get industry experts involved and make them look at it and say, okay, this is the end goal for this year, first year, second year, third year. This is the kind of goal we're working towards. Do you think that this is the kind of thing we're going for, and does this align with that? Does this help educate them and prepare them for actual industry problems and knowledge that they're going to need for this kind of objective at the end? I want them to do that, and apparently that's how it was designed. Apparently the industry did look at it and say, yeah, it's fine. But there's a very, very thin line and where I'm just like, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an easy thing to say, right? Like that when you say the industry like that, like somebody from the industry said this was awesome. Like there's a lot of cheese balls in the industry. Like it's not the biggest industry, but there's still douchebags out there. I think that the escalation thing that we talked about, where it can't just be a 3-year amalgamation of esports stuff. And by far the fundamental challenge is making it somewhat timeless, or as timeless as you can. You can't really do like an effective esports history course, because by the time the 4 years is up, you're going to have to update. Like, who gives a shit what happened 4 years ago in esports? That's like dinosaur times. So that is the fundamental problem of this sort of old school education model that historically works in a slightly more timeless manner. Business is kind of business. A lot of the fundamentals don't change that drastically. God, I'm very curious to hear about this last year. I feel like we'll have to do a follow-up. Have you heard anything about the curriculum or anything? Like, is it confirmed that the stuff that I'm looking at the website is even the curriculum, or maybe it's been updated and there's something else that you guys will be doing that's a little more engaging?
No, we haven't heard anything. At least I haven't. At least a lot of my peers haven't. The thing is, as well, is that stuff like that, for example, them changing things or changing descriptions or whatever, I still think this is the main thing that we want at the end of the day. It's the communication, because I understand education. It takes a long time to actually make something change and work. Okay, and it's a new course and it has its flaws. However, it's when you stay silent and constantly tell your students that, okay, it's being passed up, it's being dealt with, but not actually giving us any update, like within months. We've been waiting months for an update. We've passed a document and it hasn't actually gotten, like a response. Like when I asked about a lecture that was being investigated, they said, we can't update you, we don't know anything. And I thought, but why? Like, why aren't you communicating to us students what is going on? Like, even in the most broadest terms possible. Or if you can't
change
something...
Is it COVID related, or is it independent of COVID even, you think? Or is it both?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I want it to be communicated. If it's COVID, I feel like a lot of things have been covered up with this whole COVID excuse. I understand it's a very difficult time, but there are certain things that, yes, you can go up, the chain and it can be reviewed and talked about. And if it is being reviewed and talked about, tell us that it's being reviewed and talked about, give us those updates to know we're not just being left in the dark, because that's how it feels.
I hear you. I know exactly what you mean. I feel that way with invoicing sometimes. Like, listen, I don't mind that you're late. I mind that I've had to follow up with you 3 times and you seem to never proactively communicate that there's going to be a delay. This is a little
Yeah.
fishy, just fucking it's a give and take, man. How come I'm hounding you and you're never communicating me about the money that you owe me?
Yeah.
Some of those vibes. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's all I really feel like people need on this course. I feel like it would become a lot better if we were just communicated a bit more with, and not told that we can't give you any updates or whatever or something like that. Like, if they give us a reason, we are like,
Whoa.
we are freaking adults. We can.
So did you? I'm clicking around on their website and they have listed an esports master's degree as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Is this available now? Do you know anybody who's done this?
Yeah. I knew a few people who did it. Yeah.
Is
And some of those people are now lecturers on the course.
Okay, well that's a little. Don't you want to go get some industry experience before you start teaching? That would. I don't mean to be short, but I think that's like a useful thing to do. So it's just a 1-year master's program.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a dissertation, and then you do a module on esports ecosystem and metrics, international esport policy and planning, managing esports arena strategies, and research methods in esports data.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie, that's a lot of words to say very little, at least in the section of esports I work in.
Yep.
What is international esport policy and planning? Like actually.
I guess it's the I guess it's the whole like terms and conditions and policy stuff that you have to read, like all the nitpicky stuff.
Yeah, but how's that 20% of a master's degree?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Like, I'm not knocking on that specific data point being somewhat useful, but like, how is that 30 credits worth of master's material? That's fucking absurd. I'm so infinitely curious here. So one of my other gripes of this, like when I see the word esport, okay, like sometimes it upsets me a little because it reminds me of the word drugs. Like drugs are bad. Well, no, more like some drugs are bad sometimes in the wrong dosage, but a lot of times some drugs are very good, right? Drugs encompasses a shitload of different things. Esports is it's this like amalgamation of all of these siloed games and different communities that are very independent from each other. In a lot of cases, don't even really like each other and certainly don't communicate with each other. So just saying like, we're going to study the international esport policies is like, but there's like different policies for different games because different games are popular in different countries. So like, it's not, none of it is unified or ubiquitous. So it's this I'm Jesus. That's just when it's upsetting to see esports like managing esport arena strategies. This is like when I see esports broadcasting listed as a course somewhere. It's just broadcasting. It's like saying ice hockey. It's just hockey. You're playing it on ice, but it's just hockey. What is an esports arena? It's just an arena. All arenas, it doesn't matter if you're doing sports or a gaming event or a live concert. Like, it's still a venue. It's got a PA system. It's got a screen. It's got chairs. It's got electrical. It's got a light. I mean, we're not... What is the unique aspect of an esports arena that you're learning about that's different from any other arena? It's just a marketing term at this point. That's
I get you.
Yeah,
I do get you.
yeah,
I do think that though with the esports sort of side of arenas and things like that, when we were searching, me and some other students, when we were trying to make an event outside of campus, there were a few things that came in the way that we thought, oh yeah, this is fine, we can just use this place. But then there was the whole Wi-Fi thing and what was like available, the electrics that was available, the stage space, the seating, the sort of hazards that came with the place. So they were like those kind of things that we didn't really think about that we had to start thinking about because it became a concern. So it's like we couldn't just turn any venue into an esports venue. It was like we had to use like a place that could accommodate all those different things, I guess.
I mean, that's true. You're definitely right. Like, I don't want to downplay the aspect of like venue management when it comes to events like that. Again, like that is definitely key. It's just again, how is that 20% of a master's level course? It's just like I don't know. It strikes me as buzzwords. It's a lot of buzzwords, and that's
Yeah.
such a red flag. But I didn't realize that they had a master's program, and I guess in the world of academia, it's somewhat normal for that like incestual. We found these students. They paid us a bunch of money. We taught them some stuff, and then we hired them to teach other people some stuff. I guess that's normal, but that's weird to me. I really think experience is king in esports. I mean, even for
Oh yeah, for
hiring,
sure.
like that's like
Yeah.
volunteering is a tricky thing because you can quickly get taken advantage of. But at the very beginning, it's like an unpaid internship, just being able to go to an event and observe and work behind the scenes. And even if you're just holding a camera or holding a mic stand or being the like, a really menial job still gives you great insight into the inner workings of how events go down. And you'll overhear crazy key stuff that you would never hear online that would be considered really privileged. But when you're at an event, things go wrong and people stress out and they start yelling at each other and you're standing there and you absorb a lot more than you think you do. And those experiences are like, that's the magic. That's the stuff that's really hard to get. And getting like, I always felt lucky that when I got hired at Beyond the Summit in 2014, we started our own tournament series that we ran out of our house. Like the first LAN we did, we moved all of our furniture out, moved a bunch of computers in, flew all the teams in, and our house was just a big giant tournament LAN cafe for a week.
Yeah.
I was lucky to have a company that was like, hey, we're all figuring this shit out. So yeah, we're going to make some mistakes. It's cool. Like I didn't have to, I was lucky to get paid to get that kind of experience of we're all just figuring it out. But that's the shit that really drives esports. And
yeah, grassroots. You know what? You just gave me this idea. Like, why instead, when we get introduced to the course and everything, why not just say, okay, you know, do like make an event, just make an esports event where people can play games and whatever, and literally put us in the deep end for a second. The amount of crap that will go on is insane. But by the end of it, and they ask us, was that hard? And we go, yeah, that was insane. And they go, well, this is why like this and this needs to happen, you know. And it kind of gets you thinking like it's not just put on an event. There are specific things that go into that, and that's what I think is so important. And getting hands on, it inspires us in a way that goes, oh my god, this is not as simple as I thought, you know. So that's what I think is like so important, and I wish that we had that kind of thing from the beginning. And I know COVID is a problem, but it's literally, you could just be like, run an online event, see how you do. And we're going to mess up, obviously. And they'll go, that's why it's hard. It's harder than you think. And this is what we're going to learn within our, 3 years being there.
You could do mock events too. I mean, it would take a little bit of engineering to design, especially online. But like, what's that stupid game like Esports Simulator where you get to like simulate managing a team? It's a bit of a meme, but I think you could take that concept and turn it into a program where you could do a simulation of an esports tournament, and as the university, like you can simulate things going wrong so that you have to deal with it in real time and, you know, figure out how to solve problems. And, you know, the plane just got delayed, he's stuck at the airport, you know, that kind of shit. It's a little bit cheesy, but that kind of role-playing stuff it's closer to the real thing than, you know, some of this textbook stuff that we are reading about in the modules. I have to admit.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a guy named Shane that does stuff in Dota, but he did a while ago. It was like a really cheap, like crowd-funded LAN event that he put together in Ireland, and he did it in a hotel, and I don't know how many people showed up, like 30 or 40, but it was like a 24-hour LAN thing, and basically everything possible went wrong. They didn't have enough electricity for the computers, they didn't have enough cooling, the internet went out, it was like it ended up just being a giant party where they all got really drunk and talked about Dota. But it, like, that event taught him so much about how events operate that even though it was basically a disaster in every way. He walked away from it with all this hands-on experience, and I underestimated that when we did some other event for my company where we hired Shane just as broadcast talent. He was the first one to be able to step up and start solving problems when fires showed up and things went wrong and we mismanaged certain stuff. He was the guy that was able to go, oh, that's going to be a problem. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, he could see some of the fires before they were coming because he'd already done an event where he lit everything on fire. So what seemed like a really big waste of the $5,000 or the $10,000 that he raised from his fans to basically just get drunk with 40 computers that couldn't connect to the internet for 2 days. That was one of the most valuable. And now he's got a full-time job at ESL. He's one of their event managers and event planners that does serious activations for, big publishers and developers that are trying to get their games out there. So that's
amazing.
It really does start small with that kind of community shit, because that's where you learn. You remember those mistakes when you make them yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we have one of the lecturers who actually talked about him running his own LAN events and stuff when he was when he was a bit younger and stuff. And it was so interesting to learn about. And we have another lecturer who talks about his mistakes he's made in the industry and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I want to be able to not only learn from their mistakes, but make my own mistakes. And that's why it's good when it comes to events and things to actually make the students mess up, It's I don't feel like I haven't really ran any events, have I? No, I haven't. And I wanted to run events. I mean, we're trying to now make this one event in 1 week, and I'm thinking, how the heck do I do that?
Yeah, that's also just not like a real life simulation. I mean, what most events have like months of planning and runway. Like that's a whole semester long thing, because a lot of it has to do with timelines. Like you don't know the scope of the event until you know what kind of sponsors are interested. So it starts with okay, this is our ideal budget. This is our if we have to budget. Let's see where we can sell. Then you figure out what you can sell. You amend the budget, right? That changes. Hey, do you have teams? Do they share rooms, or does every player get their own room? Well, I don't know. How many players are on each team? Can we afford to 5x our hotel cost, right? Those are all decisions that you make step by step along the way, and trying to jam all of that in a week is just, it takes away all the power of it.
I completely agree. And actually, one of the things that really got me fired up recently was in one of my lectures. I can't say the whole thing, but one of the pieces of content in that lecture was the lecture went on and on and on about what colors meant. Okay, and like red is for danger and passion and stuff, and blue is for that trustworthy or whatever thing and stuff.
Tranquility,
and
yeah.
And I just I'm just sitting there listening to this, and I just thought, am I really paying money for this? Like, it wasn't just a 2-minute like, oh, look at this, flip through. It was a genuine whole conversation about it. And I said, do we really need to have this conversation right now? Do you really think this is worth
I'm trying to think,
good 20 minutes of our time?
I'm looking at these modules. Okay, so this has to be the content creation module here.
No, it's not.
I mean, wow. Okay. I don't know that. What is this esports planning and strategy? Or what are we doing with colors here? Who gives a shit?
It was, to be honest, it was, I don't even remember now. It was either building teams or multiplayer. And in one of those, we're learning about those colors. And I smacked my hand on my face and I just went, what am I doing? What am I doing here?
Man, that makes me so sad, because it wouldn't be that hard to simulate an event and do I can kind of see it in my head. I did similar stuff. Like so I have a bachelor's in entrepreneurship. It's basically just a business administration degree, but with a couple of creative and innovation classes. But one of those classes, the entire class is you write a business plan. It's 4 months long, and at the very end of it, you have a 30-page business plan. But it takes so long to write the damn thing that the first week is like, all right, here's the overview of the business plan. By week 2, you are writing the first section of the business plan, and you just do it piece by piece. And then the last couple weeks are, okay, let's review, let's fine tune, let's do this thing. But they warn you the semester before, show up with a fucking idea. Don't waste your first week trying to come up with an idea for your business plan. Think about it all summer, and then that way you can actually spend the semester like developing your idea and utilizing this time to like build something that's cool and useful. So like you can take that exact framework and just sub out business plan for event, and you do a whole budget thing, you do a whole sales thing, you do a whole management part, you do a whole team part, and then the last week or whatever, you do a simulation, you work it out, you get the esports team involved or whatever, you call in some people who pretend to be players. It's just like when you do mock trial, right? You spend the semester preparing for the debate, then at the end, you have the guy that puts on the fake fucking judge robes, and you do the whole thing, and you play it out. And it's a little cheesy, but it's also kind of cool. It's kind of fun. It
is. It's structured. It makes sense. Man. That's what, this is the basics.
It's not that hard.
Honestly, it isn't. So yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the whole reason why we're enraged, really. I wish
enough.
That structure. And you know what? I don't want to add more fuel to the fire, but it's just these things that I'm frustrated, that I just want people to realize that's not okay to accept. There's a reason why people are going public about it. And one of the other things is that with one thing that's really annoying us as well is that every time you go into a lecture, and especially a lecture that's being recorded, you start promptly. You start at a correct time, and that is in life, okay? Whether you go to a meeting or whatever, everyone knows that. You start on time. You get there 5 minutes early or whatever. Our lectures with a specific lecturer always, or not even just a specific, actually, there have been other lecturers who start like ages, like I'm talking like 20 minutes after it's supposed to start. We're waiting on people. I go in the morning, I get up early, I have my breakfast, I get my coffee, and I sit down already. And apparently I have all this time available to go and get my cereal and my coffee and things like that. And we're there asking, why haven't you started? And they say to us, because we're waiting for more people to show up. And when we say, why are we waiting for more people to show up? Just start, like they can catch up on the VOD or whatever. And they say, no, the numbers shouldn't be this down, and I'm the lecturer, and you can't talk back, kind of thing. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I would agree with you. There's like the show moves on, and you're like setting this precedent. It's like a slight moral hazard thing where people are late, so you delay the starting time to accommodate for them. Then that just encourages them to be late and more. What you should do is start on time, then hold them accountable for being consistently late. That would be my approach. Exactly. But it sounds like they just have lecturers that are inexperienced with managing classrooms, and that was why I was excited about this potential opportunity when I applied. Is like, okay, this is a new program. I'm new as well. Like I need to learn more about teaching and classroom management. So I thought there could that might be a good match. But I guess it's a shame that it seems like they haven't been able to mentor their lecturers enough. I mean, that's one thing I was hoping for. It would be terrible just to be thrown to the wolves. Like, all right, you're here, so go teach him, dummy. What are you doing? Like, what's the material? Yeah. What do you mean? What do I do? You guys know I haven't done this before. You looked at my resume.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, it sounds like they haven't done quite enough onboarding or something like that.
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear as well that because I'm unable to use names, I am saying lectures and lecturers quite often, but this is not to say every single lecturer is like this. We do have quite a few special ones that are like, yes, I'm glad you're on this course, but it's very targeted with the ones that we are complaining about, because those lecturers that I am complaining about, or a lot of us are complaining about, are the ones that one, nothing has been done about properly, or at least we haven't been updated about it. And on top of that, they are leading like 2 of our modules, and we're like, why are they leading 2 of our modules if there's an investigation on them? Tell me, like, how does that make sense?
Yeah, that's Yeah, I mean, it's not a big program, right? So even just being able to say there are issues with multiple lecturers, like, okay, but it's single digits of lecturers, right? So that's still a
Yeah.
relatively high percentage of people you have to interact with that there's
Yeah.
frustration there. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, that's I'm sorry to hear that. A lot. I mean, I knew there were some issues with this course, but I was definitely a lot more optimistic for it than that. You know, it sounds like they have some basic building blocks they need to work on beyond just esports stuff, but just like, you know, program stuff. You know.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, but I
And
wouldn't lose sleep over calling it out, though. I'm sure somebody somewhere will give you some beef about it, but you know, as long as it's honest and good faith, like, you know where it's coming from, right? So as long as you
yeah.
feel good about it and you can, you know, sleep at night knowing that you are honest, and you know, it sucks to get got. So I think there's a degree of whatever morality to trying to prevent others from falling into a similar trap if you feel like you fell into a trap, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And as until anything is stated otherwise that things are getting better on the degree, I don't want to falsely tell people, yeah, it's a great course, go on it. And if that is proven wrong, then yes, I will tell people, you know what, it started off rough, but they really improved themselves, you know,
Yeah.
and they really showed us something. And that's what I'm hoping it comes to, the fact that we can turn around and go, nah, they got their crap together, you know, they eventually did.
Right.
And
That's a
but
good approach. I think that's a great thing to say to people like this. Like, please prove me wrong. I don't want to be right here. What am I missing?
yeah,
You know, show me the missing link to prove that what I'm saying is completely inaccurate. You know, like
yeah,
that's a really somewhat passive aggressive but nice way to put it on their plate of like, I don't want this to be the case. My ideal reality is that this program's fucking awesome. I come out with amazing skills. I get a good job, and by nature of that, I get to tell everybody how awesome this whole thing was. Please enable me to
exactly.
do that.
Yeah,
You know, it's hard to argue with that from their perspective.
exactly.
Well, I hope they make those improvements. Yeah, COVID definitely hasn't made it any easier. So is it all online learning now, by the way? Is there any in-person stuff, or is it all shut down?
No, it's all online at the moment. They were
Mm,
talking about getting people onto campus and taking a test before, you know, attending campus and stuff, but
mhm.
I'm not definitely not going onto campus without a test, and that's why I'm not even on campus. That's why I've moved to London, and then after this year's done, I will be transferring into the other campus.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So,
hopefully we'll have some vaccines rolling. I mean, UK, USA, I think are still slaying it in the vaccine realm. So
yeah.
maybe by the beginning of your third year, the vaccine situation is such that, you know, real life classes are back in swing again.
Yeah.
That's possible. Maybe slightly optimistic, but hey, a little wishful thinking in these times can go a long way. That's for sure.
Yeah. I really hope so.
Yeah. Well, good on you for diving into streaming, though. I think your head's in the right place in terms of getting firsthand experience and just putting yourself out there. And, you
Mhm.
know, I mean, this is
That was that quick
this
show.
conversations like this are the foundation of esports. You know, that's the industry needs to be held accountable. So good on you, gang. If you enjoyed the conversation, give her a follow. It's just Sood on Twitch.
Um, no, it's
No,
actually
it's not.
Soodlenooop on Twitter.
Well,
You're a follower.
it's
Follower
linked
list,
wrong
that's
on your Twitter.
is it?
I followed it from you. That's look at this right here. This is your Twitter, right? It's
That's
just
not it.
Twitch/Sood. That's why I.
Oh my god.
This is
Oh, it's
why.
because I ran out of characters.
Oh no, that's why I missed your stream. I saw your tweet and I was like, oh, I'm really curious about this. I'm gonna tune into the stream, and I was like, I DM'd you thinking, oh, well, maybe I could call into her stream while she's talking about it. And I had that stupid Sood stream open on my second monitor like all day today, just waiting. Like, man, I wonder when she's gonna go live. I guess
Oh
she's not doing it.
no.
And I didn't even
Okay.
look at the profile. So what is your Twitch? What?
I've now correctly put it in. I don't know why that was there. But yeah, no, it's correctly linked now.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're three. I think I followed Soodle earlier. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 3 O's. Soodlenooop. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
because the
Okay.
2 was taken, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a big time bummer.
Yeah. So there we go.
So what are you playing mostly? What's your go-to? Sell it out hard. What's
Valorant, bro.
Really?
I'm an
Okay.
FPS player.
All right.
I play Valorant. I've been playing Rust with friends. I've been playing GTA a bit. But I just like first-person shooters. I used to be a huge Overwatch fan.
Okay.
But I'm not into that scene anymore. So yeah.
Don't blame you. Yep, it's a tough game. I've played a little bit of Valorant. I'm not huge on FPS games anymore, but no Call of Duty, huh?
I do. No. Call of Duty.
A little
There,
Call of
it's
Duty
there.
too. Okay, it's in there somewhere.
Up with that crap.
I heard it's very popular in the UK as it is in the United States. So when I think esports in the UK, the first thing I think of is Call of Duty. Maybe that's just my biased sample of British people I've spoken to that have complained about how everybody's obsessed with Call of Duty. But I've heard that from multiple people, like in the London area, that none of them care about Dota, none of them care about League of Legends. Fuck strategy games, Call of Duty. That's what I've heard people
League
say.
of Legends. I know too many people in League of Legends.
Yeah.
That is such a huge thing.
Yeah, I believe it. I guess Dota's just not the thing. League has taken hold in the UK.
Yeah, but I definitely think there is space for Dota 2. I've definitely met some people in the Dota 2 scene. I know one friend at uni who is a huge Dota 2 fan. And I don't know, he plays it and stuff. I'm not sure how professionally he does, but he's pretty good. So yeah.
All right. Well,
I don't know if you know him.
What's the name again?
Damon? I don't know if you know him. Damon Chang?
I don't think. Do you know what his handle is? Like his nickname?
Let's Damon.
Lotus.
Lotus.
I don't think so. Let's see. Lotus UK Dota. I do have some UK Dota subscribers, so maybe they've heard of him. But cars pop up. Lotus UK Dota.
But yeah, it's okay. You can just do that in your own time.
Yeah. One other tip for you though: the Twitter on your stream is linked to Twitter that doesn't exist anymore.
That is supposed to be sorted today, and
no worries.
I know there are kinks. There are kinks. Yeah, thank you. There are kinks. I am working on them. I promise. The ones they are going to be sorted out very shortly.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, good luck to you. I hope it works out. If you ever have any questions or just need a reality check or something, you got my Discord now, so feel free to reach out anytime. It's cool that you're going to see the program through. So, maybe a year from now or something, I'd love to hear about what year 3 at the program looks like, and if things have improved, and if that expo ever happens, and what it looks like, and all that stuff. I think it'd be cool to do a follow-up.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Thank you so much for your time, though.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, likewise. Thanks for being so candid. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Well, see you later.
See ya.
All right. Well, that was cool.